Today we're going to rank all 30 priority moves that existed over the generations. Priority moves are one of the many facets of Pokemon that make the gameplay interesting. They can allow slower Pokemon to act before faster ones, and they're usually good to carry on a competitive team. Some of these moves were lost to Dexit in recent generations, but we're still going to include them, even the bad ones. And I won't be including the Protect variations in this video. If you want to see a rankings video of those moves, I have one for you to check out after. For my sanity, I'm only going to be ranking positive priority moves in this video, as adding the negative priority moves would make ranking them kind of weird, and we'd have too many moves included. We will be ranking them on usefulness competitively, considering their impact. A lot of these moves are doubles based, so I will be taking that into account along with usefulness in singles. I'm going to tier these lower moves off and then start ranking the top 20 as normal. Starting from bottom tier moves, we see Bide, Powder, and Ion Deluge. Not too much to say here. Bide is a +1 priority move now, but had normal priority until Generation 4. Its purpose was pretty much to teach us the intricacies of Pokemon early on, as most people will recognize this move from the first gym of the first games on Brock's Onix. The user bides for 2 turns, and any direct damage inflicted will be doubled and retaliated to the target. Definitely a terrible move competitively, but definitely a priority move, worthy of the worst spot. Powder is slightly above Bide here, mostly for not having the downside of trapping yourself in for 3 turns using it. This move has +1 priority and covers a target with Powder. If a powdered Pokemon uses a fire type move, the powder explodes and deals a whopping 25% of their max HP while failing to execute the move. It's a terrible move since it's pretty unlikely you will be in this scenario anyways, and the payoff of only doing 25% of damage isn't really great if you succeed. The distribution is so small too, which contributes to this move never being seen. If it was buffed to do more damage and distributed more, I can see a niche against fire types, as we'd likely see it on a bunch of fire weak Pokemon for some epic bait. Ion Deluge is another +1 priority status move like Powder. What it does is change all normal type moves into electric type moves for the turn. This is the same effect Plasma Fist has after being used. The thought going behind this move is most of the Pokemon who have access to this move have an ability that absorbs electric type moves, so it can be used to grab a boost or some healing.
Thank you.
It's just not on very great Pokemon to begin with, and the normal type isn't exactly the most common. 2 of the more common normal moves in Fake Out and Extreme Speed out-prioritize this move as well, so you can't use Ion Deluge to outplay those scenarios in doubles. Onto the moves that are a little bit better, but still not that great, we see Upper Hand, Baby Doll Eyes, Spotlight, and Snatch. Starting with Upper Hand, this is a +3 priority fighting type move with 65 base power. It is the anti-priority priority move. Pretty much it will strike before an opponent's priority move and cause them to flinch instead of attacking. Sounds pretty decent, right? Until you realize that this move will fail if the target isn't using an increased priority move. I feel like they didn't learn their lesson from Gen 4 Feint. It only worked if the target was using Detect or Protect. I can see this move's base power being cut to around 30 and being able to still hit like a regular priority move any time in the next games. If it was +4 priority, I might put a little bit higher, but it has the same priority as Fake Out, meaning you can't even reliably block one of the most obvious priority moves since you have to be faster. Baby Doll Eyes is a +1 priority move that lowers the target's attack by 1 stage. The priority makes it at least better than moves like Growl that have the same effect, but it just isn't really seen competitively. Charm is a much better option as it lowers attack by 2 stages, which will make a much bigger difference. It can be used as a last ditch effort on a Slowmon to lower attack before getting KO'd, but it isn't really worth using regardless. Spotlight is a move introduced in Generation 7 and really only existed then. It has +3 priority and is essentially an anti-redirection move. The user shines a spotlight on the target, ensuring your partner's attack will target into them this turn. This nullifies Follow Me, Rage Powder, and abilities like Storm Drain or Lightning Rod that draw in attacks. It can also be used on your own partner to direct opposing attacks to that slot. It's a pretty niche move that was only available on a few lines for 1 generation, so if you don't know about this move, I don't blame you. I had to kind of research its effects too. Snatch is a really fun move that was removed in Generation 8. It has +4 priority, and the user will attempt to steal the effects of beneficial status moves from any other Pokemon on the field. This includes healing moves, setup moves, all the way to moves like Substitute, Light Screen, and Reflect. It can be pretty good if you catch the right scenario, like stealing a Dragon or Quiver Dance from a sweeper to turn it into your own sweep. It just isn't too reliable as it's heavily prediction based, plus it doesn't steal certain status moves like Stealth Rock and other entry hazards, which would make it more versatile on lead sets. We're going to move on to priority moves that are decent, but uncommon options. These are just a little more reliable than the previous 4. First, we have Magic Coat. It has +4 priority, and essentially gives the user the same effects as a Pokemon with the ability Magic Bounce would have. It will reflect certain status moves back at the attacker, most notably entry hazards and singles, status inducing moves like Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp, stat reduction moves like Sand Attack, and even moves like Taunt and Encore. It's a pretty decent move to have if you can predict an opposing mon to use a targeting status move. It's really only seen on a select few mons though, most notably lead Deoxys to prevent hazards from other Deoxys, or support Porygon 2 sets. It sits cozy in this mid tier. Next we have the move Endurer. This +4 priority move allows the user to survive any attack that would normally cause it to faint on 1 HP. It shares the same properties as Protect and how it can't be spammed without the chance of failure. But it is good for certain strategies, with the most notable one to my knowledge being in combination with the moves Reversal, or Flail I guess. These moves are powered up to lower your HP. On a mon like Hitmonlee, you can use Endure for a max 200 base power reversal while activating Unburden by going in range of a Pinch Berry. A bit gimmicky, but can still sweep games if the opponent lacks tools like priority or contact punishing abilities. It can also be used to rack up extra Rocky Helmet chip and damage from abilities and status too. Not a very common move, but still usable and decent in certain scenarios. Next on this list we have Feint. It is a weak normal type move at 30 base power and +2 priority, but it has a unique effect of hitting for protection and breaking it for the remainder of the turn. It can definitely be a really good move in the right situation. It isn't distributed on too many great doubles mons, which limits its usage, along with being a big gamble to bring over other moves that would be better most of the time. So we'll sit here in the middle portion of the list as a viable, but not great move. Moving on to the upper mid tier and top 20, these moves are commonly seen on their users, but not always necessary. They are generally seen as good moves. In spot number 20, we see the move Vacuum Wave. It is a special fighting type move with 40 base power and +1 priority. A standard priority attack, but probably the least commonly seen competitively. This is mostly thanks to the majority of fighting types being physical attackers, and with the option to run a special set with Focus Blast versus a physical set with Close Combat, mixed attackers like Lucario and Infernape prefer going the reliable route. They also have access to better priority options like Extreme Speed and Mach Punch, which gets boosted by Iron Fist. It's just not worth it to run usually despite being a solid move, so it sits here just in the top 20. In spot number 19 we have Quick Attack, the OG priority move. It has +1 priority and is a 40 base power normal type attack. It might have a bland offensive typing, but having a good amount of stab users puts it just in the top 20. This move is at least viable on a handful of Pokemon as a poor man's Extreme Speed. Some notable users being Mega Lopunny, Cypher and Scizor, and Guts users like Swellow, Flareon, and Raticate. Additionally, this move can be boosted by 8 abilities and super solid on Mega Pinsir and usable on Sylveon to a lesser extent. Onto the 18th best priority move, and I feel like these next few could be ranked in any order. They're all pretty similar for usefulness, but here I have Water Shuriken, a 15 base power, special, multi-hit water type move with +1 priority. Okay, before you chew my head off, I'm looking at this move as it is regularly. It is really good on Battle Bond Greninja as it gets buffed to 20 base power per hit while always hitting 3 times, but that special interaction only applies to that ability in one generation. It's still pretty solid on Greninja as it gives it a nice priority multi-hit move that you can have stab on no matter what ability you're using. Being a cop-out against faster mons or getting past a Substitute or Sash and Sturdy can be clutch. Water being a good offensive typing and being a rare special priority move puts it here. Just above Water Shuriken at number 17, we have Shadow Sneak. This +1 priority ghost type move is used on most physically attacking ghost types that have access, along with a couple other mons who have it as their only priority option. Being on such a solid offensive typing, I wanted to put this move a little bit higher as it's so threatening on mons like Aegislash and Mega Banette, but looking at the other moves, I can't justify it having any higher than this. Above Shadow Sneak in the 16th spot is Bullet Punch. This +1 priority move is great on a handful of mons, particularly the ones who get stab on it. It's an alright priority coverage option on the fighting types who have access as well. A pro this has over Shadow Sneak is having no immunities and being boosted by Iron Fist, which a couple users do have access to. Although Steel doesn't have the most coveted super effective hits, it's still a reliable priority option that can pick off weaker opponents, or in some cases can be a main offensive tool. Looking at you, Scizor. On to number 15. We're gonna clean off our Burger King foot lettuce. This +1 priority water type move is around the same usefulness as Bullet Punch. Water is a slightly better offensive typing, even with a few ability based immunities. This move has some lethal users with high attack stats and is a good priority option even on some non-water types. I can see the argument for Bullet Punch being higher, but to me these moves are essentially tied here in this spot. Going to the 14th best move, we see Ally Switch. This +2 priority move allows the user to switch places with its ally in a double battle. I know there's some debate about this move in the VGC community, about how competitive it is, but I don't really think it is so good to the point I would put it higher here. But I'm mainly a singles player, so maybe I don't fully get it. I would just simply outplay the ally switch, but feel free to educate me in the comments. Pretty much it's good for causing your opponent's attacks to hit into an unintended spot, hoping to give your ally more opportunity to attack or set up. A fine move, don't get me wrong, but with tools around redirection, spread moves, and predictions, I think the mind games work both ways with this move, as you are sacrificing your mon's turn and a move slot to pull off a switch that could result in little to no benefit. So this is a fair ranking spot for me. Up next in the 13th spot, I have Accelerock. This is a +1 priority rock type attack seen on Lycanroc. This move would be absolutely deadly if it was distributed more, as strong mons like Rampardos and Rhyperior would become exponentially better. It is still really good on Lycanroc and saves it from being totally irrelevant competitively, especially the Dusk form who receives a nice Tough Claws boost on this move. Rock is a great offensive typing with no immunities, and this move is right near the top when it comes to basic priority moves. The next move I have coming in the 12th spot is Grassy Clyde. This one is hard to rank. Now if this move was always priority, then it no doubt would be higher, but it only gets +1 priority if used in grassy terrain. This means pretty much the only user we ever see of this move is Rillaboom, who can summon the terrain upon entry. But that's really all this move needed to be considered this high on the list. It was so powerful at 70 base power when introduced, it had to be nerfed to 55 power. The terrain boost it gets still makes it stronger than Sucker Punch without the downside of needing the opponent to attack. The problem with it is that it's not a very great move when outside of terrain, so it really is limited to Rillaboom or teammates of Rillaboom, as ain't nobody setting up manual terrain. Right outside the top 10, I'm gonna go with Mach Punch. This +1 priority fighting type move has been around since Generation 2 and is a great tool for all the Technician and Iron Fist users this move has. With fighting being tied for the most super effective hits in the game, this move sees a lot of use and is almost always backed by a great attacking stat. Most users are on the slower side too, which synergizes well as it's a great workaround to getting revenge KO'd by a frail or low HP Pokemon. Before I get into the top 10, I want you to make sure you hit that sub button and become a bud. Most viewers haven't yet, and I'd love to hit 10k subs this year. Also, drop a comment letting me know what your favorite priority move is. Getting into the top 10 moves now, these are the cream of the crop. And at number 10, I'm going to put the move First Impression, an astonishingly powerful +2 priority bug type move with 90 base power. This is such a great tool for the limited number of users, and even non-bug types will use it due to a resisted hit being stronger than a neutral hit from a regular priority move. The downsides of this move are the bug type having so many types that resist it, and its side effect of only working on the first turn the Pokemon is on the field. This lets the move have more counterplay than it would like, as you will naturally have a couple bug resists on a team, but the sheer power of this move, and it being on such strong physical attackers, makes it worthy of this spot at number 10. Sliding into 9th, we have Ice Shard. It's not as strong as first impression, but this +1 priority ice type move is on arguably the best offensive typing in the game. It nabs tons of super effective hits, with a lot of the time them being ×4 effective. A lethal choice on Mamoswine, Weavile, Baxcalibur, and seen as coverage on Donphan too. This is, in my opinion, the best basic priority move. While it has one less super effective hit than Mach Punch, it has less resistances and no immunities, making it much safer to click or lock yourself into. In the 8th position, I have the move Helping Hand. This move's +5 priority is the highest in the game, meaning it will move before all other priority moves. You were able to get this move off even before Fake Out and Extreme Speed. This move is a great support tool in doubles, as it boosts the power of an ally's attack by 50%. You more commonly would see it on these support Pokemon, since they generally have little offensive capabilities, so helping a stronger and faster teammate gain considerably more damage can make the difference in a match, picking up KOs you normally not have a chance at. The high priority also means you can execute this move before you are taken out, and the boost will still be considered, so it also works as a last-ditch effort to get use out of a support mon before it's picked off. In spots number 7 and 6, I have Rage Powder and Follow Me. These are the premier redirection options in doubles, with the main difference being the distribution. These +2 priority moves draw attention to the user to make foes attack into their slot. It's a big part of what makes mons like Clefairy, Amoonguss, Indeedee, and Mousehold good support options. Being able to redirect attacks meant for your ally can give offensive Pokemon a chance to get off more attacks or set up and sweep. I'll have Follow Me in the 7th position and Rage Powder in 8, due to Rage Powder's ineffectiveness against grass types, Pokemon holding safety goggles, and the ability Overcoat giving it a lot more counterplay. Now for the top 5 priority moves. These are the elite options and are all good in both singles and doubles. They are also all attacking moves. Starting at 5, we have Jet Punch. This is Palafin's buff version of Aqua Jet. At +1 priority and 60 base power, it separates itself from the basic priority moves, being 50% stronger. This makes a big difference, as attacking with this move twice is equivalent to using Aqua Jet thrice. It has the second highest base power of all priority moves that don't have downsides, and it only helps that the sole user is incredibly strong itself and showcases how broken this move can be. Moving to the 4th position, we have Thunderclap. This is another signature priority move added in Generation 9. It is Raging Bolt's electric type variation of Sucker Punch. At +1 priority, this move will strike an opponent who is riding an attack and fail if the target switches out or uses a status move. But at 70 base power and on a really solid offensive typing, this move deserves to be up here. It's especially good on Raging Bolt, as it isn't the fastest and has amazing special attack. It will be cool to see if we get more users in future releases. Right above Thunderclap, in the bronze medal spot, I have Sucker Punch. This is an incredibly threatening +1 priority move. It shares the same 70 base power as Thunderclap and condition that the opponent has to click an attack to execute. It finds itself as an amazing tool for dark types especially, but it's so commonly seen on non-dark types for priority coverage, as it's strong enough to be a good attack in general. Dark has no immunities as well, meaning boosted mons can use this move as security to not have their sweep broken by choice scarfers or faster mons. The mind games this move can create make for some of the most gut-wrenching turns you can imagine, as outplaying Sucker Punches is seen as a big metapod play. Now you probably guessed the top 2 by now, and I'm kinda torn here because one of these is the best priority move in singles and the other is the best priority move in doubles, but they're also both good in each format, so I'm gonna put them both in the number 1 spot here. First, we have Extreme Speed, the strongest priority move in the game that has no limitations. At +2 priority and 80 base power, this move finds a spot on just about every physically attacking mon that can learn it. It is one of the best moves you can ask for on a sweeper or revenge killer. It is deadly in combination with setup, as we have all seen what E-Killer Arceus can do. In Dragon Dance Dragonite, who now goes for the bonkers Terra Normal to break the game and promote tons of fun for your opponent. It's great on Arcanine, Entei, Genesect, Rayquaza, and Zygarde. Not to mention Belly Drum Linoon for crying out loud. This move turns Linoon into a viable mon. This is no doubt the best priority in singles, and still super good in doubles. So we'll sit here at number 1 for all the singles players who are watching. The other first place move focusing more on doubles, you all know it, it's Fake Out. It's free damage. At +3 priority, this move only has half the power of extreme speed, but it is such an important move in doubles that team strategies rely upon Fake Out support along with trying to play around Fake Out. This move only works on the user's first turn out, but it will, almost, always cause a target to flinch. In doubles, this can shut down one half of the opponent's side while protecting your ally from that side. It has so many little things that make it useful. Breaking sashes and sturdy, stalling out trick room, racking up status damage, and even just a useful priority option to pick up a KO. In singles, most of those reasons apply too, even though it's not as common. There are some Pokemon that like having it though, generally when boosted by stab or damage boosting abilities. It can be used with a normal gen to set up burden sweeps, and as last resort insurance against a sweeper, as you can guarantee damage, switch out if necessary, and come back in to keep getting hits. The utility is the best part of the move, and it's why it shares a spot for number 1 and is my top spot for doubles. Do you agree with these rankings? Do you think any move should be higher or lower? Make sure to leave a comment and let me know your opinion. And if you like this video, make sure to check out this one next. Thanks for watching, buds.